The massive chamber echoed with the clicking of claws against metal floors. War Matron Velthasa towered above the representatives from dozens of worlds, her silver armor gleaming under the harsh lights. At nearly 9 feet tall, she made even the largest species look small. Her pale blue skin had thick protective scales down her arms and back. Long white hair was braided with metal rings that sang when she moved. The other council members kept their eyes down. They knew better than to challenge the Zephyrian warrior women. For 800 years, these Amazons had kept peace in the Aitan-Situ galaxy. They were born fighters. Their planet was nothing but storms and mountains. Only the strongest survived to adulthood. Only the toughest became warriors. Only the most ruthless became war matrons. Velthasa slammed her fist on the stone table. The sound made everyone jump. "The outer rim grows restless," she said in a deep voice. "3 systems have stopped paying tribute. This cannot continue." A small, fuzzy creature from the textile world spoke up with a trembling voice. "Perhaps if the tribute were reduced—" Silence. Velthasa's golden eyes glowed brighter. "We protect you from raiders and rebels. We maintain order. We ask little in return." The creature shrank back into its chair. Others nodded quickly. No one wanted to anger the Zephyrian Empire. Their war. Fleets could destroy worlds. Their warriors could fight hand to hand with anything in the galaxy. They were perfect soldiers. Far away on the edge of known space, Commander Namho floated in zero gravity aboard the scout ship Archer. His brown eyes studied the star maps. Earth was so far from everything that most aliens had never heard of. "Hit! That was about to change, sir," called his pilot Jiwan from the control deck. "We've got contact, unknown ships bearing 27 Mark IV. Namho pushed off from the wall and glided to the pilot station. The screens showed 3 massive ships moving toward them. They were unlike anything in human databases. Curved hulls with sharp edges, no visible weapons. But that didn't mean they weren't dangerous. "Send standard first contact protocols," Namho ordered. "All frequencies." The response came quickly. A strong female voice filled the bridge. The universal translator worked overtime to make sense of the alien words. "Small vessel, you are in Zephyrian space. Present your credentials or prepare to be boarded." Zephyrian. Namho had heard whispers about them from the few traders who ventured this far out, stories of warrior women who conquered worlds. He straightened his uniform and activated the video link. The face that appeared on screen made him step back. The alien was twice his size, even sitting down. Her skin looked like it was made of silver-blue metal. Sharp teeth showed when she spoke. Most shocking were her eyes, bright gold and completely focused on him. "I am War Commander Zixhai of E. "The Third Fleet," she announced. "What species are you?" "I'm Commander Namho of the Earth Defense Force. We're humans. This is our first time in this part of space." The War Commander leaned forward. Her massive frame filled the screen. "Humans, never heard of you. Your ship is primitive. Your weapons are weak. Are you traders? Slaves running from masters?" Namho felt anger rise in his chest, but kept his voice calm. "We're explorers. We come in peace." A harsh laugh echoed through the speakers. "Peace?" Zixhai showed her teeth in what might be a smile. "There is no peace. Only strength and weakness. The strong rule, the weak serve. We prefer cooperation to domination." "Cooperation?" The word seemed to confuse her. "You mean alliance, submission? Which worlds have you conquered? We haven't conquered anyone. We're looking for trade partners, friends." The War Commander's expression changed. For a moment she looked puzzled, then suspicious. "You claim you conquer nothing. How do you survive? What protects your weak species?" Before Namho could answer, warning lights flashed on his bridge. Long-range sensors showed more ships approaching. Big ones, the kind that carried invasion forces. "For your fleet has been reported to the Council," Zixhai continued. "War Matron Velthasa herself will decide your fate. Return to your homeworld. Tell your leaders the Zephyrian Empire is coming. Tell them to prepare appropriate tribute. Tell them resistance is futile." The transmission ended. The alien ships disappeared into hyperspace, leaving the human scout vessel alone among the stars. Namho floated in silence for a long moment. Then he turned to his pilot. "Set course for Earth, maximum speed." "Sir, what do we tell them?" Namho watched the stars streak past as the ship jumped to faster-than-light travel. Those golden eyes haunted his thoughts, the casual way the alien had spoken of conquest and submission. "We tell them the truth," he said finally. "We tell them we're about to meet the most dangerous species in the galaxy, and they think we're weak." The Zephyrian fleet dropped out of hyperspace near Earth like a storm of metal and fire. 40 massive warships filled the darkness between planets. Their hulls gleamed with weapons that could crack a moon in half. At the center, the command ship Bloodclaw carried war leader Mixara. She stood on the bridge, a 9-foot tower of muscle and armor. Her red hair hung in thick braids decorated with the teeth of defeated enemies. Scars covered her arms from countless battles. Golden eyes studied the small blue planet that turned slowly below. "Begin standard invasion protocol," she ordered. Her lieutenant. "Landing forces to major cities, disable their defenses, find their leaders." The lieutenant hesitated. "War leader, our scouts report unusual activity. The humans are not running or hiding, they're moving toward our ships." Mixara laughed. "Of course they run toward death. All weak species do this at the end. They know they cannot win, so they try to die with honor." On Earth, Defense Coordinator Yunji stood in an underground bunker beneath Seoul. Banks of computers showed the alien fleet above. She was small compared to the aliens, but her mind was sharp. She had studied every report from the scout ships. She knew they couldn't fight the aliens directly. "What's our status?" she asked her team. "All major cities evacuated to bunkers," reported Captain Lee. "Military forces in position, special units ready." "Good. Remember, we're not trying to win. We're trying to survive and learn. Every second we delay them, we learn something new." The first alien shuttles entered Earth's atmosphere. They were huge, designed to land thousands of warriors at once. But instead of landing in empty fields or cities, they found surprises waiting. Young. Pilot Jun-ho sat in his fighter above the Pacific Ocean. He was part of the first wave of defenders. His plane was tiny compared to alien ships. His weapons were like toys against their armor, but he had something they didn't expect. The alien shuttles expected to land easily. Instead, they flew into invisible nets of metal fiber that tangled. Their engines, hidden missiles, rose from the ocean floor. Small human fighters swarmed them like angry bees. "They're using our own tactics against us," War Leader Mixara snarled as she watched the battle. "But poorly. They're too slow, too obvious." Her confidence cracked as reports flooded in. The humans weren't fighting like any species she knew. They hid in buildings and struck with weapons that made no sense. Explosive devices appeared where none should be. Computer viruses attacked their systems from inside. "How did they get into our networks?" she demanded. "Unknown, War Leader. They seem to use different technology than ours." In his fighter, Jun-ho dodged plasma bolts that lit up the sky. His radio crackled with voices from other pilots. Some were afraid. Some were excited. All were determined. "Dragon Leader to all units," came the voice of Yunji. "Remember, we're buying time. Hit and run, don't get caught." A massive Zephyrian dreadnought rose from behind the moon. It was 10 times bigger than the largest human ship. Its weapons could destroy a city with one shot. Jun-ho watched it aim at a civilian transport trying to escape the battle zone. The transport was full of families with children. It had no weapons, no shields. It would die in seconds. Jun-ho looked at his fuel gauge, almost empty. His weapons were nearly gone. His fighter was damaged from the battle. In that moment, he made a choice that would change everything. "This is Dragon 3, he said into the radio. "Tell my family I love them." He pushed his engines to maximum and aimed straight at the dreadnought. The alien ship was so big it filled his view. He could see warriors moving behind its windows. They turned to look at the tiny fighter racing toward them. On the Bloodclaw. Mixara watched in disbelief. "What is he doing? He cannot hurt us with that small ship." Her lieutenant looked confused. Perhaps his mind broke from fear. The human fighter struck the dreadnought near its main engine. The explosion was small compared to the massive ship, but it was in exactly the right place. The dreadnought's power core overloaded. Light brighter than a star erupted from its hull. Mixara grabbed the rail as her ship shook from the blast. When the light faded, the dreadnought was gone. The civilian transport escaped into hyperspace. She stared at the empty space where her ship had been. Around her, warriors stood in shocked silence. The human pilot had given his life to save others. He gained nothing from the act. No glory, no honor, no chance to boast of victory. Why? She whispered. Why would he die for strangers? For the first time in 800 years of conquests, the Zephyrians faced an enemy they didn't understand. An enemy who fought not for glory or conquest, but for something else entirely, something they called protection. In a hidden laboratory beneath the ruins of Tokyo, Dr. Sujin worked with only 3 hours of sleep in 2 days. Her hands moved quickly over pieces of Zephyrian armor. The metal felt warm to the touch and seemed to shift colors when she moved it. Incredible, she whispered. It's not just armor, it's alive. Her team of scientists watched as she connected human sensors to the alien material. On the screen, patterns appeared that none of them had ever seen. The armor wasn't just protection, it was a living creature that bonded with the warrior inside. Doctor, called her assistant Minho. You need to see this. He held up a Zephyrian weapon. Unlike human guns, it had no trigger, no buttons, just a smooth surface that felt warm like skin. Sujin touched the weapon. Nothing happened. She tried squeezing it. Nothing. Then she remembered watching the aliens fight. They didn't pull triggers. They willed their weapons to fire. It reads thoughts, she breathed. Their technology responds to mental commands. Across the battlefield on the moon, Battle Commander Rilenth stood among the bodies of her finest warriors. They were twice as big as humans. They had trained since childhood. They were perfect killers. Yet they lay dead, defeated by small, soft creatures with no claws or armor. How? She asked her lieutenant. Her voice shook with rage and confusion. How do we keep losing? The younger warrior shifted nervously. They don't fight with honor. They hide and strike from shadows. They work together in ways we don't understand. Rylenth picked up a human weapon. It was crude compared to Zephyrian technology, yet it had killed her warriors. She had captured several humans, but they wouldn't reveal their secrets. They just smiled and said things that made no sense. One had told her, "We don't fight to win. We fight to protect what we love." What did that mean? Warriors fought to conquer, to gain glory, to prove strength. These concepts of protection and love were alien to her. Marine Sergeant Tae-min crouched in the ruins of a building on Mars. His squad watched as Zephyrian warriors searched the area below. These aliens were huge, but they moved in predictable patterns. They expected enemies to face them directly. Humans had learned to study Zephyrian fighting forms from captured videos. Their martial arts were impressive, all power and precision, but they had no flexibility, no surprise. Taemin had spent weeks practicing Zephyrian combat moves. Then he had added something new, human unpredictability. "Remember," he told his squad, "they expect us to be weak. Use that." The aliens entered the building. Taemin dropped from above using a Zephyrian leap attack, but instead of landing where they expected, he twisted mid-air. His human flexibility let him change direction in ways that broke their martial arts training. His first kick struck a warrior's temple. The alien stumbled, shocked that a human could move like that. Before she could recover, Taemin spun and used a Zephyrian throw, but with a human modification. Instead of throwing her forward, he twisted and sent her into her partner. The confused aliens tangled together. In seconds, Taemin's squad swarmed them. They used Zephyrian strength techniques combined with human teamwork. The aliens didn't know how to respond. Back in her laboratory, Dr. Sujin made a breakthrough. She had cracked the code of Zephyrian thought weapons, but she discovered something amazing. The weapons didn't just read thoughts. They could be programmed with new commands. "We can turn their own technology against them," she told the Defense Council. "But it's more than that. Their armor adapts to whoever wears it. If humans wear it, it becomes human armor," she demonstrated by putting on a piece of Zephyrian arm guard. Slowly, the metal changed. It became lighter, more flexible. It kept the strength but gained human dexterity. "It's symbiotic," she explained. "It bonds with the wearer and takes on their characteristics." War leader Mixara received the reports with growing disbelief. Her forces were being pushed back on every front. The humans were adapting faster than any species she had ever fought. They learned Zephyrian tactics and improved them. They stole Zephyrian technology and made it better. "They're using our own weapons," reported Battle Commander Rylanth, "but they fire differently, faster, more accurate." "How is that possible?" "They've changed the programming somehow." "And War Leader, some of them are wearing our armor, but it doesn't look the same." Mixara's eyes widened. "Show me." The hologram appeared. A human warrior stood there, covered in Zephyrian armor. But the armor had changed. It was sleeker, more flexible. It moved like liquid metal around the human's form. "By the stars," she whispered, "they're not just using our technology, they're improving it." For the first time in her life, Mixara felt something new, something that no Zephyrian was supposed to feel. Fear. These humans weren't just surviving, they were adapting, learning, growing stronger with each battle, and worst of all, they were changing everything they touched. Even Zephyrian technology became different in human hands, became better. The thought that haunted her most was simple. What if they were wrong? What if strength wasn't about size and armor and claws? What if strength came from something else entirely? War Leader Mixara woke in a strange place. Her head pounded like thunder. The last thing she remembered was her command ship exploding around her. She tried to move, but soft restraints held her arms. Panic filled her golden eyes. A soft voice spoke near her. "You're safe. Please don't struggle. Your injuries are serious." She turned her head and saw something impossible. A small human male stood beside her bed. He wore white clothes marked with red crosses, not war paint, but symbols of healing. His hands held no weapons. His eyes showed only concern. "I am Dr. Hyojin," he said gently. "You've been unconscious for 3 days. We've been treating your wounds," Mixara snarled. "You dare touch me? I am a war leader of the Zephyrian Empire." The doctor didn't flinch. He just nodded. "I know who you are. You're also badly hurt. You have burns on 40% of your body, and internal bleeding. If we hadn't found you, you would have died." She looked down at herself. Clean bandages covered her arms and chest. The pain was less than it should be. "Why?" she asked. "Why save me?" "I am your enemy." Dr. Hyojin checked a machine beside her bed. "Because you're injured, and we can help." That's all that matters. This made no sense to her. In Zephyrian culture, wounded enemies were left to die or killed for mercy. You didn't waste resources on those who fought against you. Over the next days, she began to heal. The humans brought her food she could eat. They changed her bandages. They asked nothing in return. No information about Zephyrian plans. No secrets of their technology. They simply cared for her. A young human engineer named Dong-wook often visited. He would sit beside her bed and talk about strange things. Not war or conquest, but stories of human life. "My grandmother always said the best soup needed time and patience," he told her one day. She made soup for everyone, family, friends, strangers, even people she didn't like. She said feeding people was what made us human. Mixara frowned. "Feeding enemies makes you weak. They will use your kindness against you." Dong-wook smiled. "Maybe. But if we become cruel to protect ourselves, what are we protecting? What makes us worth saving?" These words confused her. Zephyrians fought to be strong, to conquer, to prove their worth through victory. The idea of being worth saving had never occurred to her. She watched the humans work. They helped each other without being ordered. When one was tired, another took their place. When someone made a mistake, others helped fix it. They even laughed together during terrible times. "Why do you help each other so much?" she asked Dong-wook. He thought for a moment. "Because we're stronger together than apart. My family came from Korea. Dr. Hyojin's family came from different parts of Asia. Others here are from every continent on Earth. We're all different, but we're all human." Back in the council chambers, Supreme War Matron Vel Thassa studied reports that made no sense. She had demanded to know how humans could unite their entire species so quickly. The answer disturbed her. "They have always been fractured," reported her intelligence officer. "Multiple nations, different languages, various beliefs. They fought each other for thousands of years. Then how do they work together now? They call it common purpose. When faced with an outside threat, they put aside differences. They have a concept called species unity. All humans are one people, despite their diversity. Velthasa paced the chamber. Show me their history. The holographic display showed human wars, but also human art, music, literature, acts of kindness between enemies, humans who risked their lives to save others, even strangers. This cannot be real, she whispered, but it was. Stories of human soldiers sharing food with prisoners, doctors treating wounded enemies, people rebuilding homes for those who had been their opponents in war. In her hospital bed, Mixara experienced something new. Hope. The humans told her that despite the war, they believed peace was possible. They spoke of a future where Zephyrians and humans might work together. "You're insane," she told Dr. Hyojin. "We came to conquer you. We killed your people." He nodded sadly. "Yes. And we killed yours. But killing doesn't have to continue. Forever. My grandfather fought in a war when I was young. His enemies became trading partners within a generation." Mixara thought of her own grandfather. He had died in battle, proud and fierce. She had always wanted to die the same way. But lying here, cared for by enemies who should have hated her, she began to wonder if there might be better ways to live. Engineer Dongwook brought her something he called tea. It was bitter, but warming. As she drank it, he told her about his daughter. "She's only 5, he said, showing her a picture on a small device. "She asked me why the scary alien ladies were fighting us. I told her they were probably afraid, just like we were." "Afraid?" Mixara looked at the image of the tiny human child. "Zephyrians fear nothing." "Everyone fears something," Dongwook said quietly. "Maybe you fear being weak. We fear losing what we love." For the first time in her life, a Zephyrian warrior cried, not from pain or rage, but from understanding something she had never imagined possible. Perhaps strength wasn't just about winning. Perhaps it was about what you chose to protect. The neutral station floated between Earth and Zephyria, like a bridge between worlds. It was built quickly from parts of both civilizations. Human curves mixed with Zephyrian angles. Two species that had tried to destroy each other now worked together to create something new. Commander Namho walked through the station corridors, his dress uniform crisp and clean. 6 months ago, he had fled from Zephyrian ships in fear. Now he was here to make peace. The thought still amazed him. Supreme War Matron Velthasa stood waiting in the main conference room. She wore ceremonial armor but without weapons. Her golden eyes met his as he entered. Both leaders had changed. Both had learned. "Commander Namho," she said, her voice formal but not hostile, "I greet you in the name of the Zephyrian Empire." "War Matron Velthasa," he replied, "I bring greetings from Earth and all humanity." They sat across from each other at a table made from both human metal and Zephyrian crystal. The symbolism was not lost on either of them. "Your species surprised us," Velthasa began. "We expected easy conquest. We found worthy opponents." Namho nodded. "You surprised us too. We saw only warriors. We didn't see the honor beneath the strength. Yet here we sit as enemies who would be allies. Perhaps we were never truly enemies, just strangers who misunderstood each other." In another part of the station, Engineer Sujin worked alongside Battle Commander Raylenth. They were creating something impossible, a fusion of human and Zephyrian technology. Human flexibility met Zephyrian strength. "Your power systems are elegant," Sujin said, adjusting a crystal matrix. "But they're rigid. They can't adapt." Raylenth watched the human work with fascination. "Your systems are crude but flexible. They change based on need. What if we combined them?" Sujin suggested. "Your stability with our adaptability?" The new device they created blazed to life. It was beautiful and terrible at once. A crystal that pulsed with soft light, surrounded by human metal that shifted like living tissue. "By the stars," Raylenth whispered. "It's perfect." Sujin smiled. "It's what happens when enemies become friends." The peace talks lasted for days. Every detail was argued, discussed, and agreed upon. not as conqueror writing terms for the defeated, but as equals finding common ground. War leader Mixara, recovered from her injuries, served as translator between cultures. She understood both sides now. She had seen human kindness and Zephyrian honor. She had learned that strength could mean protection as well as conquest. "The raiders from the Dark Nebula grow bolder," Namho reported during one meeting. "3 systems have been attacked this month." Velthasa's eyes hardened. "They prey on the weak. The chaos of our war has given them opportunity." "What if we face this threat together?" suggested Defense Coordinator Yunji. "Your experience, our innovation." It was Mixara who spoke up. "I volunteer to lead the first joint mission. I have learned from both our peoples. I can bridge the gap between us." 2 months later, the combined fleet assembled at the edge of human space. Human ships flew beside Zephyrian vessels. The flagship was a marvel, part Zephyrian dreadnought, part human cruiser. Impossible technologies worked together. On the bridge, Yunji stood next to Mixara. Human and Zephyrian crew members worked side by side. The translator devices were rarely needed now. Both species were learning each other's languages. "The raiders have hit the Altair system," reported a human officer. "Thousands of civilians are trapped on the planet." "All ships, this is command," Mixara spoke into her communicator. "Combined formation. Human ships take flanking positions, Zephyrian vessels center advance." The fleet moved as one organism. Human speed and maneuverability supported Zephyrian power and strength. When they emerged from hyperspace above Altair, the raiders fled in shock. They had never seen such coordination between 2 species. The rescue operations afterward showed the real change. Zephyrian warriors carried human children to safety. Human medics treated Zephyrian wounded. The rescued civilians saw something that would be sung about in songs for generations. During the celebration dinner on the flagship, Dr. Hyojin raised his glass of human wine. Beside him, Battle Commander Ril'enth lifted a cup of Zephyrian. "Battle brew to former enemies," Hyojin toasted. "To future friends," Ril'enth replied. Mixara watched from the captain's table. Next to her, Yunji smiled at something Namho had said. Engineer Sujin showed War Matron Velthasa pictures of the new hybrid starships they were designing. 6 months ago, these 2 species had been at war. Today, they were saving lives together. Tomorrow, they would explore the galaxy as allies. Mixara had learned that true strength wasn't in conquering enemies, it was in making them friends. The galaxy was vast and full of dangers, but humanity and Zephyria would face them together. The warrior woman who had once lived only for battle now understood a greater truth. The strongest force in the universe wasn't fear or hatred or power. It was hope. And together, humans and Zephyrians had more hope than any fleet could defeat.